Well, everybody, there is some disappointment. We were supposed to be having a dyno run on this today, but when I emailed the guy of the morning of going, he responded and said, actually, there's an issue with the dyno, so we're gonna have to reschedule. So I've been thinking, and I'm going to be away in about a week's time. So the timeline really is kind of changing, and I kind of just want to get this intake installed now. So I think I've decided to not do a baseline dyno run. We're just going to go with the Hordpower intake. We're going to put it on. We're going to get the ECU sent out and reflashed, and we're just going to see what it makes. And I'm confident enough it's going to be close to what we're expecting from the two-wheel Dynawork figures. So I'm confident enough that it's going to work. So yes, it's a bit of a disappointment that I didn't get a before and after in terms of the power, but I just really want to get on with it. And I've had these delays now with the getting the baseline run, and I just, let's just get on with it. And so this video is going to be about the installation, and the first thing I'm going to do is get the petrol tank off, and then we'll see what's underneath and what's next. Okay, fuel tank is off. To get that off, there's electrical connector underneath the fuel tank. So once you've got these side bracket bolts removed, you can lift it up enough to get to that. On the fuel line, you've got to push this item forwards and then squeeze these two tabs together here and pull it off. And then you've got two breather pipes on the opposite side, which just pull off when you've squeezed these clips out the way. So you can just pull those off by hand. And then the front bolt, and then the whole thing just lifts out the way. So I'm just going to bag up the end of this and tie wrap it so that it's sealed, and then we'll move on. Okay, so next job, we're going to remove the back bolts of the airbox, and then we're going to take off the rubber inlet pipes from the front of the airbox. And I think that'll mean we can move it backwards slightly. And once we've done that, the whole aim of this step really to get this out is we have to take the throttle bodies out first. Once they are out, we should be able to drop down the airbox and slide it out. So that's our plan of action. All right, so with the two bolts removed either side at the back of the airbox, and these clips undone here, then we can push this back and down, and it gives us clearance on the throttle bodies. So I've got as many things cleared out of the way as I can to help me access what things need to be removed from the throttle bodies. So this breather pipe was on the airbox, so I've just routed it up out of here. The fuel pump cable, blah blah blah, out the way. It looks like we've got a breather pipe on the back of the throttle bodies. We've got the injector plugs. We've got the throttle position sensor plug on this side to remove, and we've got the fuel supply here. We need to remove the throttle cables, so we're going to loosen up these nuts, back that off until we get clearance past the hooks, and that will take these out of here. And then finally we undo these two clip points down here, and then we should be pretty close to getting the throttle bodies out. Okay, so we're pretty close to being able to get the throttle bodies out. Just to note, there was another sensor plug right in the middle at the back of the throttle bodies. So don't forget to undo that one. And then we've still got to undo this grey breather pipe right at the back there. I might do that when they've come towards me because it'll be easier. So we're pretty ready to extract the throttle bodies. I've loosened up the rubber pipes underneath. You have to get to the other side from this side, so a long extension is useful to get up in there. But right, I'm going to switch to like a time lapse and we'll remove these. So as you saw, with a little bit of jiggering and pokering, we've got the throttle bodies out. Next step, you see those two breather pipes attached to the airbox on the other side. We need to undo that bracket, pull those pipes off the airbox, get them out the way. I'm trying to keep things out the way, held back with tie wraps or on their own, so as to give us space and access. So we'll just get that bracket off and then we should be able to time lapse the airbox coming out. Fingers crossed. All right, that dreaded step of getting the airbox out was actually the easiest part now that we'd cleared out the throttle bodies, etc. Just be really careful whilst you've got these open. Do not drop anything inside there. Feel free to block them up. But yeah, good step so far. Okay, I did jump ahead a little bit, but it's nothing that you haven't missed anything. It's just about putting everything back as it was. So the throttle body's pushed back in and put these cables back on. And we just want to make sure that we've still got the full range of movement on the throttle body. So we need to make sure that they fully close, as you can see in there. And when you pull the throttle around, we want to make sure that the stop hits on the bracket. So I did that, check that out, that's all good. And there is a little bit of free play as well in the cable, so that's buttoned up nicely. And so yeah, it's just a case of popping things back on again. Now that you've got this room to maneuver, it's a lot easier to see. So no scariness there, just step by step going through things. So these breather pipes now will need a fixing in place eventually. So we'll see if that's just a cable tie or if we can use a bracket point. Perhaps I've removed the fittings from this back area, like the metal collars and rubber bungs that were holding the back of the airbox. So now it's just a case of fitting my Hordpower intake. These are my other options that I've got sat around, just checking what they would look like if they were in there. So these would pop on with some kind of pod filter over the top if we want to try that out. But yeah, let me get the Hordpower one on, and we're gonna have to, I haven't got all the metalwork here yet, but we need to figure out a bracket to hold this in space, as it were. So give me a moment and we'll be doing that. Okay, so it's in and fits really nicely. There's an air gap all the way around the actual body of the air filter. These clips are not tight yet because I just needed to get a bit of a twist of the filter itself to get the right angles onto the inlet, but that's good. And then all we need to do is figure out a bracket from the back here of the filter to one of these holes, and she'll be absolute. I mean, she's not going anywhere even now, you know, but yeah, it'd be nice to get a bracket on there as well. And it is. The inlets are offset, which is why it looks not in the middle of the bike, but that's just how it is. So yeah, I just got to tighten up these Jubilee clips and we can pop. Well, I might leave it off for the minute. I'll leave the fuel tank loose because I've got to get to these holes on the filter to bolt it to a bracket. So yeah, I just need to tighten up these clips now and see where we are. Now, I nearly forgot, one of the last pieces of the puzzle is this little filter to filter on the end of this breather pipe, which did go in the original airbox. So I need to get that fitted. Now, just a caveat, I've looked at the rules and regulations for racing, and I believe you're not supposed to use this breather. You're supposed to use like a catch tank, then a breather. So this might be a temporary solution, but it's a solution for now to get the, you know, dyno runs done, everything. But we may need to revisit this and may need to relocate the pipe. Now, the pipe itself comes into here. Can you see this? Let me get my torch. Sorry, flashlight. So it comes to the top of the engine right here. It's this pipe here. If I wiggle it, so if we really need to make any adjustments, we can tap off here and maybe make a catch tank system in this general area. So we don't necessarily have to be back under the fuel tank, but if we do, then we do. Okay, so we are going to do a little test fire of the bike just to make sure that we've put everything back in the right place, make sure there's no leaks, fuel leaks or anything, but just have it sat on idle. There would be no major issues of just you know, a couple of revs without the ECU being matched yet. So I'm just going to give it a tick over, a bit of an idle, and then we'll take the ECU out because we need that flashing as well. Okay, so we've got the ECU back out, which is going to go off for a reflash. For me, that's a case of removing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts, just so you can get this side plastic to move. And then it's a bit of a wiggle and a jiggle, and out it comes. So I'm going to show you how we go to do the update request with Two Wheels Dynoworks. So if you, like me, have already had your ECU flashed once by Two Wheel Dynoworks and you want to know how to get your update processed, if you go to their website and search in the search bar for update, you'll see a listing for the ECU mapping update. There's a cent charge for it. But yeah, if you go ahead and add to cart and purchase that, send the contact information, modifications that you had on the bike already, and then the new updates that you're putting on, and then ship it off to Two Wheel Dynoworks. So easy peasy. Yeah, that's about it, guys. So this is the end of this video, and I've started to put a few things back together, but not everything. We've got a few things that we still may want to work on. in and around the engine and the coolant system. So I'm not going to put all the fairings back on yet. So this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'm really pleased with how this has worked out, and you know, I was copying somebody else's design, so it should have worked anyway. So you can just see in there the little breather filter lives under the tank. Can you see it? Just fine. Again, it may need to be resolved into a different style of breather system later on, but for now it's perfectly good. So yeah, she's going to sit here for a week or two more whilst I go away, so the battery's removed and all of that. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Any questions, any comments, always happy to hear them in the comment section down below. Please like, please share, and see you in the next video. Bye.